Have you ever been told it's just age when your body starts to fail you today? I want you to forget that lie, because I'm about to share the story of a 79-year-old woman who went from bedridden to biking again without magic pills, without expensive treatments. It all began with a simple choice in a daily fight against what others called inevitable decline. As a doctor, I've seen how powerful small, consistent actions can be. Science tells us that after 60, we lose up to 3% of muscle mass each year if we stay inactive. But this story proves that with the right mindset and simple habits, you can reclaim your strength, your independence, and your life. This isn't just her victory, it can be yours too. If this resonates with you, please like this video, subscribe to Doctor for Seniors, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your health is your greatest wealth. So now let me take you back to where it all began, the moment a simple fall turned her world upside down, and how that single event set her on an unexpected journey of pain, resilience, and ultimately triumph. She never thought it would happen so fast. One moment she was reaching for a towel in the bathroom. The next, her world collapsed with a sharp, sickening crack. At 79, a simple slip on wet tiles turned into a life-changing fall. She fractured her hip, a break so severe that even standing felt like an impossible dream. The surgery came quickly. Titanium screws, metal plates in a cold hospital bed became her new reality. Doctors did their best, but they also delivered a quiet warning: recovery at her age was uncertain. They spoke gently, but the message was clear. Prepare for limited mobility. You'll need assistance maybe for life. What they didn't tell her was how much it would hurt. Not just the physical agony of a broken hip, but the slow creeping weight on her spirit. Every day stuck in bed felt like another piece of her independence slipping away. I felt like a tree that had snapped in a storm, she later said, just waiting to dry out and be forgotten. It wasn't just poetic. Studies show that seniors who suffer hip fractures face a 20% risk of death within a year due to complications like infections, blood clots, and loss of mobility. For those who survive, nearly half never regain their previous level of function. That's the harsh reality. But numbers can't capture what it feels like to lose control of your own body, to depend on others for every basic need, to dread the sound of the morning nurse because it means another day of helplessness. Her family visited often. They smiled, they encouraged her. But behind their eyes, she saw the quiet pity, the unspoken belief that this was the beginning of the end. She hated that most. Imagine this: a woman who once spent weekends gardening, who proudly biked to the farmer's market every Sunday, now couldn't lift her leg an inch off the bed. The frustration boiled inside her. Every attempt to sit up ended in failure. Even the weight of a blanket felt too much. And yet what truly broke her was not the pain, it was the loss of dignity. She remembered one afternoon vividly. Her grandson, just 12 years old, came to visit. He sat by her bed holding her hand. "Grandma, when will you come ride bikes with me again?" he asked, his voice full of innocent hope. She smiled, but inside her heart cracked again. That simple question echoed in her mind long after he left. The mirror was not kind to her either. Weeks in bed had stolen her strength. Her arms were thinner, her face hollowed by fatigue. She barely recognized herself. But amidst this quiet suffering, a seed of defiance began to grow. As a doctor, I've seen this moment many times. It's when patients face a choice, not a grand cinematic moment, but a quiet internal decision: surrender or fight. And this woman, though she felt broken, was not ready to surrender. She began with the smallest act of rebellion. One morning, with immense effort, she wiggled her toes. It was barely a twitch, but to her, it was everything. A signal that her body was still hers to command. She knew recovery wouldn't be easy. She knew statistics were against her. But she also knew one truth: no study could deny the human spirit, when fueled by love and purpose, is capable of extraordinary things. Her journey from that hospital bed to the park bike path was still far away. But that first movement, those few stubborn toes, was the moment she took her life back. And it all started because she refused to accept that old age meant giving up. But sometimes the smallest spark can light up the darkest room. And for her, that spark came not from a new medicine or a breakthrough surgery, but from a simple sentence, a challenge that would change everything. She didn't expect much from that doctor's visit. Truth be told, she was tired of hospitals, tired of polite smiles, hiding low expectations. After months stuck in bed, what more could they offer? Another prescription, more therapy she couldn't afford. But this visit was different. The doctor, a man not much younger than her own son, sat down beside her, not across a desk, not behind a chart. Just eye to eye. For a moment he said nothing. Then calmly he spoke words that pierced through her frustration. "Mrs. Anderson," he said, "you're waiting for us to fix you. But the truth is, no pill, no surgery will give you back your legs. If you want to walk again, you have to teach your body to remember. Start with something small. Wiggle your toes. Every day. It sounds silly, but that's how you'll save yourself. No complicated jargon, no sugarcoating, just the truth, plain and simple." And it hit her. No one was coming to rescue her. No miracle treatment was around the corner. But maybe, just maybe, she still had the power to help herself. That night, lying in her familiar bed of defeat, she stared at her feet. They felt foreign, distant, like they belonged to someone else. But she focused, concentrated on her right big toe, imagined it moving. Nothing happened, but she didn't give up. The next morning she tried again. Minutes felt like hours. Her leg remained still, but deep inside a stubborn spark ignited. Then on the third day, something remarkable. A faint, almost imperceptible twitch. The tip of her big toe shifted, barely, but it moved. That tiny motion was monumental. Research shows that even minimal muscle activation can prevent further atrophy and improve neuromuscular pathways. In simple terms, moving a little is always better than not moving at all. For bedridden seniors, these micro movements can be the first steps literally toward regaining independence. Motivated, she turned her recovery into a daily ritual. Every morning, she greeted her toes like old friends. She cheered every twitch, every flicker of movement. Soon it wasn't just her toes. Her ankles responded. Her calves remembered. Each victory, no matter how small, fueled the next. Her daughter noticed first. "Mom, your legs look stronger," she said, surprised. The nurse confirmed it later. "You've got muscle tone coming back," she smiled. These were not dramatic leaps, not Hollywood-style recoveries. But in her heart, they were triumphs greater than any medal. She also got creative. Using a rolled-up towel at her feet, she practiced pressing down, building strength. She filled a small basket with marbles and challenged herself to pick them up with her toes, an old occupational therapy trick, but effective. In the evenings, she visualized walking. Not just moving, but feeling the ground beneath her feet, the balance, the rhythm. Studies show that mental rehearsal of movement can enhance physical rehabilitation by activating the same neural circuits as real movement. She didn't know the science, but she believed in the practice. Day by day, her world expanded. From toes to ankles, from sitting up unaided to standing with support. The walker, once a symbol of defeat, became her training partner. And yet what fueled her most wasn't clinical data. It was a promise. To herself and to her grandson. The image of his hopeful face asking when she'd ride bikes with him again played in her mind like a sacred vow. The turning point wasn't a dramatic medical breakthrough. It was a quiet, persistent choice. Every morning she chose to move, chose to fight, chose not to accept the slow fade into frailty. As a doctor, I've seen countless patients waiting for someone else to fix them. But the ones who succeed are often those who, like Mrs. Anderson, realize healing starts from within. It's never easy, but it's possible. And it can begin with something as simple as wiggling your toes. That first toe wiggle wasn't much to look at, but it was a declaration of war against helplessness. And from that tiny victory, she built a comeback, one slow, stubborn step at a time. Let me show you how her quiet determination turned into a remarkable recovery. Recovery is never a straight line. It's a climb, a slow, often frustrating ascent. But for Mrs. Anderson, each small milestone felt like summiting a mountain. After weeks of toe movements and ankle flexes, she was finally able to lift her leg. Not far, just a few inches off the bed, but enough to make her heart race. It was the first time in months she had defied gravity on her own. Sitting up was the next battle. She started by rolling onto her side, using her arms for leverage. Her daughter brought a firm cushion to support her back. They celebrated every successful attempt, even when it took 5-6 tries. Some days she'd fall back exhausted, but she never stopped trying. Research shows that regaining postural control after prolonged bed rest is critical to prevent falls and improve balance. Her home became her rehab center. No fancy equipment, just determination and creativity. She practiced shifting her weight while seated, then gripping the edge of the mattress to stabilize herself. Her family set up a simple standing frame using two sturdy chairs. With their help, she'd pull herself upright, gripping the backs of the chairs until her knuckles whitened. The first time she stood for 10 seconds without collapsing, the room erupted in applause. Soon after, the walker entered the scene. It wasn't glamorous, but it was freedom on four legs. She took her first shaky steps down the hallway, feeling like a toddler learning to walk again. Every step burned her muscles, but every step was a triumph. She also built a daily routine of gentle physical therapy at home. Her morning started with warm towel massages on her legs, stimulating circulation. She followed with slow, mindful stretches. Simple movements, but essential for reactivating dormant muscles. Breathing exercises became part of her ritual. Deep diaphragmatic breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. It calmed her mind and strengthened her core, both crucial for balance and endurance. But movement alone wasn't enough. Her doctor emphasized the importance of nutrition in muscle recovery, so she adjusted her diet with purpose. Breakfast included Greek yogurt topped with chia seeds, rich in protein and omega-3s. Lunch brought grilled salmon, leafy greens like spinach and kale, and a side of quinoa. She snacked on almonds and cottage cheese, ensuring steady protein intake throughout the day. She also focused on calcium and vitamin D to support bone health, drinking fortified almond milk and spending 15 minutes each morning in the sunlight. Hydration became non-negotiable, at least 8 glasses of water daily to maintain muscle elasticity and joint lubrication. To combat inflammation, she incorporated turmeric, ginger, and berries into her meals. Research confirms that these anti-inflammatory foods can significantly reduce muscle soreness and aid recovery in older adults. The real turning point came one afternoon when her grandson visited again. He challenged her to a race down the hallway. Laughing, she accepted. With her walker, she moved slow but steady. Her grandson, playfully tiptoeing beside her, cheered her on. That day, she reached the end of the hallway faster than she ever had before. No one said it aloud, but everyone knew Mrs. Anderson was coming back. Week by week, her stamina grew. The walker gave way to a cane. She ventured outside, first to her porch, then the garden. Feeling the earth beneath her feet, breathing fresh air, reignited something deep within. Finally, after 18 months of relentless effort, she returned to the park with her old bicycle. It wasn't a sleek sports model, just a simple, sturdy bike she had owned for years. But mounting that seat, feeling the gentle resistance of the pedals, she was free again. As a doctor, I can tell you what she achieved was extraordinary but not impossible. It wasn't about fancy treatments or luck. It was about consistent movement, mindful nutrition, and an unbreakable will. Her story is a testament that recovery after 70 is not a lost cause. It's a journey built on small, determined steps, and it all began with a choice to move, to nourish, to believe. Little by little, her world expanded beyond the walls of her home. And then one bright morning, she did something no one expected. She got back on her bicycle, not as a patient, but as a symbol of freedom. This is the moment where her story truly soars. The morning air was crisp. Sunlight filtered through the trees, casting soft golden rays onto the park path. And there she was, Mrs. Anderson, riding her bicycle with a kind of quiet triumph that no words could capture. It wasn't a flashy bike, no sleek frame, no electric assist, just an old sturdy cruiser she had owned for decades. Its faded paint and worn seat told their own stories of time. But to her, it wasn't just a bike, it was freedom. 18 months earlier, she couldn't even stand without assistance. Now, with each push of the pedal, she was reclaiming a part of herself once thought lost. The first few rides weren't easy. Her balance wobbled, her legs trembled. She stuck to short loops around her driveway, then ventured further. Her grandson became her biggest supporter, riding alongside her, ready to catch her if she stumbled. But she didn't, because by then she had learned how to fight through wobbles both in body and in spirit. Every morning she arrived at the park at sunrise. Early enough to avoid crowds, but not early enough to avoid being noticed. At first, passers-by would do a double take, a woman nearly 80 riding confidently, while others her age sat on benches watching the world go by. Soon, people began stopping to talk. Younger joggers offered high fives. Fellow seniors approached curious and inspired. "How did you do it?" they asked, genuine admiration in their voices. She always smiled, giving the same simple answer, one toe at a time. It wasn't about superhuman strength, it was about persistence. about the daily choice to move forward even when progress was measured in inches, not miles. Her story spread beyond the park. Local community groups invited her to speak. She shared her journey not as a medical miracle, but as living proof of what could happen when you refuse to accept limitations. Scientifically, her success wasn't magic. Studies confirm that even low-impact activities like cycling can dramatically improve cardiovascular health, joint flexibility, and muscle endurance in older adults. More importantly, it boosts confidence, reduces fall risk, and enhances overall quality of life. But science alone doesn't explain the glow on her face as she pedaled through the park. That came from within. One particular morning stood out. A small crowd had gathered near the park entrance. They were setting up for a local senior wellness event. Seeing her approach, the organizers spontaneously applauded. She was taken aback, touched by the gesture. That day, she wasn't just a cyclist. She was a symbol of possibility. Her presence changed how others viewed aging. It wasn't about defying age. It was about redefining what age meant. Neighbors who once pitied her began to ask for advice. Some dusted off their own old bicycles. Others started with simple walks inspired by her persistence. Her family noticed the transformation too. Physically, she was stronger. Mentally, she was sharper, more engaged. Even her doctors were amazed at her recovery curve. As a physician, I can tell you recovery stories like this are rare, not because they're impossible, but because most people stop believing they can happen. Mrs. Anderson believed. Her journey wasn't about returning to who she was before the fall. It was about becoming someone stronger, more resilient. Every ride was a declaration, I am still here, still living, still moving forward. To this day, she rides that same old bike, now lovingly maintained by her grandson. And every time her wheels touch the park path, she reminds everyone watching that age is not a finish line. It's simply another mile marker. She didn't defeat aging with brute strength or lucky genetics. She won by showing up every day, trusting in small, steady steps. Because real change isn't sudden, it's built quietly with patience and heart. Age is just a number. As long as your heart still dreams of living fully, you are never too old to begin again. Maybe today you feel weaker. Maybe moving feels harder. But remember, every big journey starts with one small move, one toe wiggle, one stretch, one choice to keep going. If her story touched you, give this video a like, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Doctor for Seniors. Because your health is your greatest wealth.